3 minutes. Let's go. I gotta get set up here. This isn't working. Why isn't this fucking working? Why am I seeing that shit? Fuck, dude. Okay, it's fucking around here. All right. Sorry, guys. I get this shit fucking working here. All right. That works. That works. And that works. Maybe. Okay. We're on the road taking Mikey to his favorite time. All right, Mikey. That's not turned up. It's turned up. Hold on, let me turn here.
Calf in the White House, orange skin, tiny hands, signed the papers for the camps, gave the orders to his plans. Proud boys riding shotgun with the Confederates.
There you go. Got the music going. So the ducks, this is day 2. How old are the ducks now? 3 days? 2 days? Huh? 2 days, right? This is day, huh? 3 or 2? 2? The ducklings, the goslings, what a baby does. Ducklings are 2 days old. Yesterday was their full day. They hatched the day before. So really they're 2.5 days old on that. And this guy's going super slow in front of me. Look who we got. Look who we got in the car. Look, he's back in the car. Look, he's back in the car. Come on, dude. What the fuck are you doing?
Trying to create no cages, no rain.
This guy's going so slow.
Make the message bleed from the block to the border. We protect our own. Ice out, trumped out, burn the motherfucker down. Fuck ice and fuck MAGA.
Fuck ICE and fuck MAGA. That's the phrase for the day. Fuck ICE and fuck MAGA. How you guys doing today? We're not getting the radio. I'm not on my main phone. So on there. What happened? The current estimate, the annual cost of immigration. There is no. Where's your facts from? Where's that from? Quote your source. How about the war? You know the cost of the Iran war in regards to increased costs? Oh, let's ask AI that, actually. Let's pivot. Thanks for giving me the idea, all right? All right. Which is more expensive? The Iran war? Bob, which is more expensive? The Iran war or immigrants? Immigrants account for $2 trillion worth of GDP. You're such a fucking fool, dude. Yeah, that's bullshit. All right, I want to do a deep dive. I want you to cite the sources, the actual cost of undocumented from the 10 million undocumented that are in America. What in regards to state taxations, federal taxations, applying work. I want you to deep dive into the undocumented immigrants and find the actual data. I want you to provide the supportive information from this data. What we're going to do is talk about the impact of undocumented, about 10, 11 million of them, their impact on the GDP, on states and federal taxes, and also I want you to subtract the the cost of having them, right? Whatever cost. And I want you not to miss anything. I want you to deep dive, find this information, and because there's a lot of misinformation out there and we need to clear it up. So I'm not going to tell you which way to go. You're going to find the truth to it. There you go, buddy. I didn't guide it. Did I guide it? Did I guide it? Did I tell it to go one way or another? Right? Did I tell it to go one way or other, Bob? Oh, Bob's gone. Bob's been hidden. Bob's Bob's been smacked down by James for being a misinformation bitch.
But the economic data on undocumented immigration is tough because the conversation is highly polarized, and studies often use entirely different formulas to calculate cost. To get to the truth, we have to look at nonpartisan economic research, like the Congressional Budget Office, CBO, the Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy, ITEP, and the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering and Medicine, NASEM. And separate the federal balance sheet from the state and local balance sheets. Here is the deep dive into the actual data, breaking down the revenue generated, the costs incurred, and the structural friction between the two.
Are you listening, Bob?
The revenue side, taxes and GDP contributions. As of recent comprehensive data, there are an estimated 10.9 to 11 million undocumented immigrants living in the U.S. While they do not have legal work authorization, the data shows they are deeply integrated into the tax system, primarily through automatic payroll withholding, sales taxes, and the use of individual taxpayer identification numbers, ITINs. Direct tax contributions. According to a landmark study by ITEP, undocumented immigrants contribute 96.7 billion annually IN federal state.
Hold on. 96 billion. They contribute $96 billion, right? On that. All right. So that's one number.
Taxes. This averages out TO about $8,889 per person. Federal taxes, 59.4 billion. A massive portion, this, comes from payroll taxes that fund social safety net programs. Undocumented workers pay roughly $5.7 billion into Social Security and $6.4 billion into Medicare annually.
Guess what? They do not get this money back. They are basically contributing to Medicare, special services, all this stuff, right? They're contributing. They're not getting any benefit from. So listen, Bob. Listen to the facts. Become educated on this.
Taxes, 37.3 billion. Even IFAN, undocumented worker IS, paid entirely IN cash and avoids income tax. They cannot avoid consumption taxes. About 46%, 15.1 billion, of their state local impact comes from sales and excise taxes on daily purchases, while 31%, $10.4 billion, comes from property taxes, paid either directly as homeowners or indirectly through rent. Macroeconomic and GDP impact. The CBO and the Brookings Institution emphasize that undocumented workers expand the labor force, particularly in high-demand, labor-scarce sectors like agriculture, construction, and hospitality. This labor expansion drives down the costs of goods and services for all Americans and boosts overall consumer spending. The CBO estimates that the broader macroeconomic effects of recent immigration surges actually reduce the federal deficit by $0.9 trillion over a 10-year window because the broader economic growth generates massive secondary tax.
Wow, undocumented, lower lower things, dude.
News from businesses and consumers. 2. The cost side, public services and enforcement. Subtracting the costs means evaluating what the government spends specifically on this population. This is where federal and state realities diverge sharply. Federal costs, low utilization. Because of the Personal Responsibility and Work Opportunity Reconciliation Act of 1996, PRWORA, undocumented immigrants are strictly barred from accessing almost all federal welfare programs, including standard Medicaid, SNAP, food stamps, SSI, and TANF. The primary direct federal expenditures include emergency Medicaid. Hospitals are legally required to treat anyone in an emergency room regardless of status. The CBO reports that emergency Medicaid for non-citizens costs the federal government roughly $3.8 billion to $5.4 billion annually, which constitutes less than 1% of the total Medicaid budget. Immigration enforcement. Funding for ICE, CBP, and border security infrastructure runs over $25 billion to $30 billion annually, though economists debate whether this should be categorized as a cost of immigrants or a baseline national security operational expense. State and local costs. High friction. This is where the financial strain is actually felt. While the federal government pockets the majority of the payroll taxes, local municipalities bear the immediate cost of public infrastructure. K-12 education. Under the Supreme Court ruling Plyler v. Doe, public schools must educate all children regardless of immigration status. Educating an estimated 3.5 to 4 million undocumented children, or U.S.-born children of undocumented parents, is the single largest localized cost, averaging $12,000 to $15,000 per student annually depending on the state. Local healthcare and public safety, uncompensated care at county hospitals and local law enforcement budgets put a direct fiscal strain on high concentration states like California, Texas, New York, and Florida. 3. Subtracting the costs, the net fiscal balance.
Listen
When you
up.
subtract the costs from the contributions, the data yields two entirely different answers depending on whether you look at the federal level or the state/local level. Level of government, revenue generated, primary costs incurred, net fiscal impact. Federal government, approximately $59.4 billion. Payroll, income taxes,
50.
emergency Medicaid, administrative processing. Highly positive. They paid billions into Social Security and Medicare, but are legally barred from ever drawing benefits from them. State and local governments, approximately $37.3 billion. Sales, property taxes. K-12 public education, local hospital funding, law enforcement, negative to neutral. Local tax revenues rarely fully cover the immediate local costs of schooling and emergency infrastructure. Why different studies contradict each other? If you read a study stating undocumented immigrants are a net drain of $150 billion, often published by restrictionist groups like the Heritage Foundation or FAIR, they are usually achieving that number by 1. Including the cost of educating U.S.-born citizen children of undocumented parents. 2. Excluding the indirect macroeconomic boost to GDP and the corporate taxes paid by companies that rely on undocumented labor. Conversely, if you read a study stating they are a pure financial windfall, it is likely focusing heavily on the federal surplus and GDP growth while glossing over the very real budget deficits faced by local school districts and
So what's the answer?
The consensus baseline. From a purely national accounting standpoint, undocumented immigrants generate a net financial surplus for the American economy as a whole because their labor increases GDP and they heavily subsidize federal entitlement programs. However, because the federal government collects the revenue and local communities pay for the services, it creates an unequal geographic and structural strain. Would you like to examine the data for a specific state, like California or Texas, to see how local budgets are impacted?
Why don't we look at the red states? Look at Texas, right? And then look at the other red states, right? Like Alabama, all these, maybe Florida too. And let's break it down state by state. I want you to just give us the bottom line, all right? Positive, negative, and how much, right? Don't be giving us all this noise. And then provide the supportive data. Yeah, they need to all go. Rubio needs to go. He's an immigrant. Isn't Rubio an immigrant? Cheeto, yeah, they all need to go. Get them all out of here. You believe in, Elon Musk needs to fucking go, dude. He violated. They should. I mean,
the total fiscal impact of undocumented immigrants depends heavily on whether you measure macroeconomic activity, GDP, consumer spending, or strictly direct public service costs, schooling/healthcare. The data is split across two primary analytics.
no, you've got to measure their contribution. You can't just say their cost. You have to measure all of it. You've got to measure what they're putting in and also the benefit, the GDP, all that stuff need to be measured. That's only fair. Right? You can't just measure one side and not look at the impact, the GDP impact, and everything else. He is, Caitlin. Well, he is. He's got what's that? What does he have? He's got something. He's got some. It's got like a funny name. He's the R word. He's literally
the full economic footprint of the approximately 11 million undocumented immigrants. We have to look past the basic government ledger, taxes paid versus services used, and calculate their broader macroeconomic contribution. In economics, a person is not just a tax filer.
Exactly. He's not just a tax file. You have to look at
you measure the full scope of their economic activity.
Exactly.
The data paints a massive structural picture.
Why not? Why not look at the overall picture?
Direct GDP production and labor value. Gross domestic product, GDP, measures the total value of total U.S. workforce. But because they are heavily concentrated in foundational labor-intensive industries, their direct impact on production is outsized. According to nonpartisan studies, including data analyzed by the Council on Foreign Relations, value is tied directly to sector-specific output, industry sector, undocumented share of workforce, the economic contribution/ripple effect. Agriculture and farming, approximately 45%.
45%.
Keeps domestic food production viable, prevents total reliance on imports, and lowers grocery prices for American consumers.
There you go. Are you going to go get on the farm there, Ed? Ed, are you going to go and replace the workers? How about you, Bob? Hey, Bob, are you going to go and replace the 45% workforce that, it's like, you're so fucking stupid. MAGA are so fucking stupid. There is dumb, and then there's MAGA. It really is. There's dumb and there's MAGA. All right, so let's pivot. I want you now to calculate the cost of the Iran war. And what I want you to look at is how much, based on the increase in gas, check the average driving that people do, calculate how much more the cost, on groceries, on trucking. It doesn't have to be perfect, but estimate how much is this war costing Americans, plus, the actual footprint that we're having to maintain, the weapons we're going to have to make, all this stuff. What is the actual cost per person? Strip out anything that doesn't make sense, like maybe making weapons, but the actual cost, what is it costing us? Try to figure this out. Look for data. Dork the information if needed. Yeah, Einstein. Yeah, Melania is really an Einstein. That insider. What's up, Adrian?
Calculating the true cost of a conflict like the ongoing war involving Iran is a massive exercise in economic tracking. When a major conflict erupts in the Middle East, specifically one that threatens the Strait of Hormuz, where 20% of the world's oil and liquefied natural gas passes, the financial impact hits regular Americans in three distinct waves: at the pump, at the grocery store, and on their tax bill. Because this conflict began in late February 2026, we now have real-world data tracking the sudden surge in energy costs, inflation numbers, and emergency military spending. Here is the breakdown of what this war is costing the average American.
Listen up, Bob.
The cost at the pump. Direct driving expenses. The most immediate and visible shockwave of the war was the global oil spike. West Texas Intermediate, WTI, crude oil jumped over 53%. from roughly $67 to more than $102 a barrel. This translated to a 51.5% surge in retail gasoline prices, pushing the national average above asterisk 4.50 a gallon. To see what this means for an individual, we look at average American driving data. The mileage. The average American drives 13,596 miles per year, about 1,133 miles per month. The efficiency. The average real-world fuel economy for U.S. vehicles sits around 27.2 mpg. The math. An average driver burns about 41.6 gallons of gas per month, with gas prices spiking by an average of 1.20 per gallon due to the conflict. That single driver is paying an extra 50 per month just to commute. For a typical multi-driver household, that has already added up to about 166 extra pump fees since the war began, and ITIS projected TO hit 771 per household by the end of 2026, if prices stay elevated. 2. The cost at the grocery store. The trucking and diesel multiplier. You mentioned tracking the impact on groceries, and this is where the hidden tax of the war lies. Almost everything you buy at a supermarket is delivered by a diesel-powered semi-truck. When the war started, diesel prices surged by nearly 50%, climbing to an average of $5.50 a gallon. Trucking companies cannot absorb a 50% spike in fuel costs, so they pass it directly to retailers via fuel surcharges, which immediately drives up the price of groceries, household goods, and online deliveries. According to data compiled by the Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy, ITP, this downstream economic friction matches the pump price almost dollar for dollar. To date, the average household has already paid an extra $155 in embedded costs on groceries and consumer goods due to the war's ripple effect on shipping. Year-end projection. This indirect inflation is on track to cost households an extra $675 by the end of the year. 3. The military footprint and weapons cost. The taxpayer liability. To maintain the U.S. naval footprint in the region, secure shipping lanes, and replace depleted precision munitions, the Pentagon requested an emergency supplemental funding package exceeding $200 billion. While this doesn't come directly out of your bank account today, it is added straight to the national deficit, representing a direct taxpayer liability. The bottom line. Total cost per person and household. When we combine the direct fuel shock, the grocery/freight inflation, and the military spending bills, we can look at the total bill for the war across the population. Approximately 335 million people across approximately 131 million households. Cost category. Impact to date. First 3 months. Projected annual impact. End of 2026. Extra cost at the pump. $166 per household. $771 per household. Extra cost on groceries and goods. $155 per household. $675 per household. Military and emergency funding. $1,526 per household. $1,526 per household. Fixed bill. Total household impact. Approximately $1,847. Approximately $2,972. Total impact per individual. Approximately $738 per person. Approximately $1,188 per person. The reality check. While military equipment manufacturing technically boosts specific manufacturing sectors of GDP, the consumer side is a pure drain. For the average American individual, the conflict is functionally a approximately $1,180 structural tax this year. Roughly half of it felt in.
Yeah, the reason for the two numbers is that's a 3 month, that's the current, 3 months. So the other thing they didn't talk about is rent and everything else that's gone up. So that's a significant cost on every individual in America. Then what you need to look at is, the impact on utility costs. You didn't calculate that. Potential increased rent costs, and any other externality costs that we haven't documented. It's not just food. It's not just gas. It is electricity, because most power plants, a lot of power plants are powered by crude, isn't it? Aren't they? go check on the chickens.
Totally right to push on this. Focusing only on gas and groceries misses the massive.
Trump's war cost. Oh, they're fishing. They're fishing. What are you catching? One guy's here. These guys don't like to sit next to each other. Where's the other guy? Lots of cars here. Why is there 2 cars here, but 1 fisherman? Are they having a fisherman's spat? Maybe I should go fishing today. It's kind of a cool day. Overcast. I'm there. All right, so all right, 0102. We're gonna apply game theory to a very important question. If someone is hanging out with a pedo, right? We'll just use the word PDF for 15 years, all right? When they have private parties together, like in 92, and they invite a bunch of teenage girls over, when they're flying together in yacht, when they're going to parties, you know, I want you to research the network and how these pedos operate, and what the research says, because I think if someone is besties with a pedo for 15 years, I think number one they would know, and number two, it's highly likely that they also participated in this disgusting behavior, right? Can you look at the data? What does it say? Let's look at the data. Trump's a fucking pedo. I'm gonna go. I gotta clean the truck this morning.
Criminologists, sociologists, and law enforcement analysts look at scenarios like the one you described, long-term, close-quarters associations within high-risk circles. They evaluate them through 2 primary lenses: co-offending statistics and social network analysis, SNA. The academic data reveals a stark division between isolated, individual offenses and organized exploitation networks. What the data says about exploitation networks: 1. Solo versus network offending.
We got cut off.
Abuse, CSA, is documented in criminological literature low. The baseline: studies tracking general sexual offenses show that co-offending occurs in only about 4.7% of cases, making it one of the lowest co-offending rates across all criminal domains. Cockbain et al., 2013. The pivot, however, researchers note that this baseline metric completely shifts when the focus moves away from isolated domestic cases and toward organized child sexual exploitation, CSE networks, or commercial rings. 2. How coordinated exploitation rings function. When social scientists map out active exploit.
So what they're saying is, if a guy's a pedo and he's friends with a person, right, and didn't participate, just like knew each other, that's low. But if they're actually having parties together with teenage girls, and they're actually networking together, which through modeling agency, the number changes. Listen up.
Networks using modern data algorithms, they find distinct structural patterns embedded in routine social systems. Rather than operating like highly structured, top-down corporate syndicates, Organized exploitation networks are typically fluid and deeply embedded within the pre-existing social systems, friendships, lifestyles, and routine daily activities of the offenders. Dixon, 2024. The leverage of shared spaces. Offender networks consistently rely on shared physical environments, private properties, exclusive gatherings, and controlled transportation networks to gain access to victims while maintaining insulation from public or law enforcement detection. Dixon, 2024. The power feud dynamic, network modeling of high harm offenses, shows a phenomenon known as the power feud. A very small, highly concentrated subset of offenders acts as central hubs. Friedensberg et al., 2019. These individuals are disproportionately interconnected with one another, holding the social fabric of the network together. 3. The likelihood of knowledge and complicity. Addressing the specific logic of your scenario, a multi-decade relationship involving deep social immersion, shared private spaces, and co-attendance at private gatherings, the research on situational group dynamics points to several key conclusions. Network variable. What the research demonstrates: role differentiation. Multi-actor networks require diverse, specialized roles to function. These range from direct offenders to recruiters, logistical facilitators, financial screeners, and protective social buffers. Dixon, 2024. High network exposure. In closed social loops, network exposure is heavily associated with proximity to harm. Participants operating within these dense clusters connect far more frequently with others who share or facilitate similar behaviors. DeVries, 2025. The power of the social situation. Extensive psychological and criminological research emphasizes that a group setting actively shapes individual thoughts and actions. Maintaining access to high-risk, highly illegal operations over a long period requires an extreme baseline of internal trust, mutual secrecy, and shared situational compliance. Cockbain et al., 2013. The criminological reality. In situational crime analysis, sustained participation within the intimate social orbit of an active exploitation ring makes total ignorance structurally and statistically highly improbable. Because these networks rely on closed, high-trust environments.
Let me put this in basic English. Do you think he didn't know it? Highly unlikely. Trump knew Epstein was a pedo, right? He knew, right? Highly unlikely. Trump knew Epstein was a pedo, okay? He knew. That is given. Statistically, everything he knew, right? He even said it. He likes him on the younger side, right? Trump has even let things loose where he tells a 9-year-old going down, I'm going to marry you, right? We know from testimony in the Epstein files that he fixated on girls, grape scenarios and everything else. We know that by testimony that him and Epstein were doing disgusting behavior in that they had private parties together. They wrote birthday cards together, all this stuff. So it's undeniable that Trump knew it. So the next question is, if he knew he was a pedo, why did he maintain his friendship for 15 years? Anyone? MAGA, you want to explain that to me? Can you explain? Why is it okay that you forgive Trump for maintaining a friendship with a pedo for 15 years? Went to all his parties, everything else. What you're going to hear here is that lightly they participated.
Long-term proximity to the central hubs of the network typically indicates either active participation, structural facilitation, or deliberate compliance within the group's architecture. Cockbain et al., 2013, Dixon, 2024, Friedensberg et al., 2019. References. Cockbain, E., Braley, H., and Sullivan, J., 2013. Towards a common framework for assessing the activity and associations of groups who sexually abuse children. Journal of Sexual Aggression, 22, 156 to 171. Link to doi.org by 15. DeVries 1, 2025. Social network exposure to sexual exploitation and risk of harm to youths. JAMA Network Open, cited by 1. Dixon S. 2024. Child Sexual Exploitation, CSE, Networks. Reassembling Structure and Activity. Journal of Sexual Aggression, 1 to 17. Link.
Trump besties with Epstein 15 years. Highly unlikely he didn't know. Highly likely he was a pedo. Actually, I want to check the birds, make sure it's not too hot for them. I'll be right back. Participated. Let me check the bird. All right, birds are fine. The birds are fine. The birds are fine. The birds are fine, James. I'm actually uploading videos. I've got two. What I'm doing is I'm recording 3-minute clips. You know, wonder if just run Antifa FM. Gotta go get gas. Only got 2 bars. I'm not a crook. That's good, James. Nixon, I'm not a crook. Trump is a crook. Trump is, I'm not a crook. I'm not a pedophile, right? I'm not a rapist. Trump is like them all. Let's see, this is gonna play. Load. Families paying for bills now too. There you go. Let's load it up. We're in a. What's this guy doing? I want to check on that old guy. I should check on the old farmer. All right. Okay. I wonder if I can. All right. So go back to shorts. Shorts. I can't. Oh, God, man. Let's put. What they gonna do? 73. Yeah. Trump is a poster child. Yeah. Criminal. I mean, yeah, there has never been anyone more corrupt. A rapist, a pedo, rapist, crook, you know, liar. Not only that, he has no, he like zero integrity. On there. Zero integrity. I love that. Still have, do you guys still have full service gas station in America? James, do you go to a, hey Dean, how you doing? Good morning. All right, that was quick.
Yung sinanek.
I thought fucking $40 in gas.
Ay,
I thought,
ay,
I mean, the full service here is as cheap as the self-service, you know, in Japan. A little interesting tidbit. Make a U-turn. All right, let's get some music going here. Proof she ain't a fraud, while the billionaires are laughing hard. God's all said, take one more day off. You find marriage on the rocks, cause everyone's so tired. Grandkids lost their bedroom, now they share. Daddy works 3 jobs just to keep grandma there. She blindly watches Fox News. Can't believe she swallowed the poison. We're replacing that. What the fuck you voting me for? I want you to apply WSP 97 hard thing. Let's get the schema. Also, the videos are not rotating, right? It's always the same video. Here I'm talking to AI. This is how I talk to AI. Talking to 0102. The nursing home door. Got richer, she got. What the fuck you following me? All right, I'm gonna put you guys to Duck Duty. I'm gonna code. Actually, I should clean off the car. Should wash the truck. Guess I'll do that. The black and red, the slow release Irish lemon cheek. And after every 2 lines, louder in the each time. Thick for Christians, you beat a loving Nazi. You listen to music as I clean the car. Hey, look at that fucking crow up there. Naughty crow. Trucks roll. He paid all of the Nazis. Kids in wire cages now, same screams once heard in Balbrick and Iceman kick the doors in same way the tan's been cooked to ash drag fathers. Who defends no warrant, no trial, just the lash fed for Christians. He paid all of the Nazis.
Deportation trains are running echoes of the coffin ship splash. She signs the papers, grinning red hat like a British general's plume. Quotes the Bible while he builds internment camps and desert tombs. Fake for Christians, he paid a loving nice. He's same old device.
All right, that's it. There.
And conquer game, just swap the green for.
Let's get this loaded up here. K-Truck. All right, let's get this thing on here.
Pardons his proud boys, calls the newsboys very fine again. Watched them storm the Capitol like you watched us burn in 21. Fight for Christians, you paid a lot of nice. History's just repeating. Different flag, same original sin. Raids at dawn on workplace, same terror the yeoman used to bring. Christians, you paid organizers. Project 20's friends, the new penal laws in everything but name. Preach love thy neighbor, then ship him south of some bastard wall. Same sermon, the sentence he gave before they took it all. Christians, you paid organizers. Same empire, newer accent, same hunger to make us crawl. This land was meant for freedom, not for foreign boots or homegrown chain. Not for orange despots or their black-clad raiding gangs. Fake for Christians, you paid all of the Nazis. We broke the tens before. We'll break their hairs in half again. For Christians, you paid all of the Nazis. For Christians, you paid all of the Nazis. Your empire's crumbling like Dublin Castle in the flame, rising from the ashes. You'll never wear your shield. Antifa FM. Antifa FM. Rave against the regime. The resistance on your stream. Never give up. Never give in. Antifa. FM. Thanks for turning us on. Spread the love and fuck the fascists! She woke up Monday morning like every day before. Kissed the babies one last time and walked out through the door. Half a mile from where she worked, half a mile from school. I was chasing paperwork and broke every rule. Half a mile, just half a mile, so close, but now she's gone. Half a mile, just half a mile. Fake fuck Christians, pedo loving Nazi. Fake fuck Christians, pedo loving Nazis. You claim to protect families, then you offer American kids. Reckless pursuit, American blood spilled. Aftercare. Children who never see her face. Classroom, now an empty space. Linda Davis, we remember. We will not look away. We will fight until it's rise. To kill these things. She never fought Polish eye. Fuck all of them, every single one. Fuck the rapist in chief with his predator grin. Fuck the crypto grifters and the cons they spin. Fuck the Proud Boys marching with the tiki torch flames. Fuck every part in Trump signed in his name. Fuck the crystal fascists preaching hate from the pews. Fuck the oligarchs buying politicians to use. Fuck the technocrats thinking they're above the law. Fuck the right-wing extremists. Fuck them all. Say fuck Nazis. You're legend. You're fucking assassinated. We coming for the throne. Watch it fall to pieces. Yeah. For the billionaire class with its tax-free lunch. For the bullets senators with nothing inside. For the cold drinking poison every day. For the talking heads spinning as a play. For the border camps and the cruelty machine. For the Supreme Court drowning in a fascist regime. For the silence from cowards who speak out loud. For every single face in the red. Right from Fuck your thoughts and prayers. Fuck your laws and lies. Fuck your stolen power. Watch it fucking die. Fuck the failing president and his golden tower. Fuck the sycophants begging for a taste of power. Fuck the book bans, word bans, banners who we love. Fuck the false prophets claiming this be from above. Fuck the dark money buying every vote. Fuck the propaganda shoved down our throat. Fuck the deportation signs tearing lives apart. Fuck every dream. They don't love the nonsense. Fuck you all the Christians. Nonsense. We come for peace. Fuck them all. Fuck them all. Fuck them all. Mm. She came at 8, speaking only caged tongue, flying the gangs in Guatemala's sun. Mother clutched tight through borders at night, escaping. Pushing the fight, Los Angeles streets became home in time. Rainbow shining, track stars align. Rising senior with dreams in her eyes, no chains on her future under California sky. Spain for Christian people loving Nazis right there. You know, in the dead of night, crosses on their walls, swastikas in their hearts, rounding up the innocents, tearing lives apart. Christian people loving Nazis right there doing this. You know, it's still resentment by checking on ordinary day. Agents closed in, no words left to say. In with a warning, ship far away. July 4th, flight to the fears they evaded. Back to the land of drugs, trafficking, dread. Enemies waiting where angels fear tread. Medications taken, hell fading fast. Hiding in shadows, clinging to the past. You know, in the dead of night, crosses on their walls, swastikas in their hearts, rounding up innocence, tearing lives apart. Nazis right there, doing history's endless bite. Romans nailed believers to crosses of wood. Lions in arenas for the empire's good. No mercy for the faithful who dare to believe. Persecuted souls with no reprieve. Nazis marked the stars, loaded the trains, camps of extermination, and righteous chains. Now the dreamers departed, mothers laid low, same ancient hatred, and my child from Coliseum sands to detention halls cold. The mighty devour the stories untold. 2 months in hiding, the stress took its toll. Stella collapsed, leaving Mari alone. Buried at 45 in my address fine. Orphaned in Quetzaltenango, crossing the line. Relatives distant, grief heavy. The screens far from home. The future tonight, in a world that forgot why they once had to. Christian people loving Nazis right there doing this. You know, in the dead of night, crosses on their walls, swastikas in their hearts, rounding up the innocents, tearing lives apart. Faithful Christian people loving Nazis right there doing this. You know, history's. A tomar por culo a todos, joder. A cada hijo de la gran puta, carajo. Chinguen al jefe violador con su pinche sonrisa de rata. Joder a los criptotimadores y sus cuentos chinos de mierda. La concha de la lora, los Proud Boys y sus antorchitas de orto. Que se pudran los indultos que el Trump firmó. La puta madre. Verga, joder a los criptofascistas vomitando peste en la iglesia. Me cago en los oligarcas comprando diputados como factura. Puta madre, tecnócratas que se mean en la ley, que se jodan sin vaselina toda la ultraderecha, recabrones. Soy fuck Cristian, pero la nazi, cristiano falso de mierda, nazi pederasta. Soy fuck Cristian, pero la nazi, cristiano falso de mierda, pederasta. Venimos por el trono y lo hacemos mierda en un segundo, cabrones. Coño, joder a los billonarios que no pagan ni un peso, mamabicho. Huevos culiados, senadores, la rebota sin huevo. Joder al pulpo vaga tragando mierda a diario. Hostia, papi, que Julián vendido que pingas esta mierda. Me cago en los campos de la frontera y su crueldad del carajo. La puta Corte Suprema coronando fascistas. Hostia puta, callao la boca los cobardes, cojones. Que se jodan las gorras rojas, malparidos de mierda. Soy Cristian, pero lo vi nazi. Cristiano falso de mierda, nazi pederasta. Soy Cristian, pero lo vi nazi. Cago en vuestras oraciones, la puta madre. Me cago en vuestras leyes, coño. Me cago en vuestro poder robado, carajo. Mirad cómo se hunde todo, hijos de la gran puta. ¿Qué gonorrea al presidente delincuente y su torre de mierda? La metulo rogando poder, que asco, la concha de su madre. Puta, quemen libros y amor, hijos de puta, falsos profetas del demonio, dinero negro comprando todo, qué mierda, propaganda metida hasta el culo jodido, aviones deportando familias, la gran puta, traidores con el corazón más frío que nevera, mal parido. Cristian, perdona, nazi, cristiano falso de mierda, nazi pederasta. Cristian, perdona, nazi, cristiano falso de mierda, pederasta. Que os den por culo, que os folle un pez, que os parta un rayo, carajo, coño, la puta madre, a la mierda con todo, hijo de la gran puta mundial. Doctors want us 200 sign, most dangerous type of broken mind. Paranoid sadistic loves the pain. Hitler, Stalin, the same broken brain. No conscience, no soul, no heart inside. Faithful Christian, halo-loving Nazi. No conscience, no soul, nowhere to hide. Faithful Christian, halo-loving Nazi. Just the right 3 hours of glee. Rewound the violence on his TV. The disabled, mocked McCain gets off on causing other people pain. No conscience, no soul, no heart inside. Faithful Christian, no conscience, no soul, nowhere to hide. Faithful Christian, Nazi. Birtherism started all the hate. Muslim born kids locked in a crate, eating the dogs. There we find people too. Xenophobe basis, we see through you. No soul, no heart inside. Faithful Christian, no loving Nazi. No conscience, no soul, nowhere to hide. Faithful Christian.
We got to go get rebar. This one.
They roll up in black truck, lights flashing red and blue.
Let's get 2 of them, I guess.
Tearing families apart in the dead of night, nothing new. Kids in cages, mothers crying, fathers gone without a trace. While the man in the gold tower laughs in America's face. He signs the orders, pumps his fist, calls you keeping us safe. But it's just hate dressed in red hats, waving flags of disgrace. They scream about freedom while they build the walls higher. Preach about Jesus, but set the world on fire. States like Christians, be loving Nazis. Hiding behind the cross while they drag us to our knees. States like Christians, be loving Nazis. Like us burning America down and the proud of the disease. He pardons the criminals who wear his colors proud. Cause the proud boys find people storm the Capitol, flags, news and flame in the air. While he watched it on TV, grinning without care. Now he's back with vengeance, promising round two to put 'em all on the map if they don't like it. They quote the Bible, twist the cherry pick the hate. Love thy neighbor unless they're brown and coming through the gate. Faithful Christians, you know love and Nazis. Hiding behind the cross while they drag us to our knees. Faithful Christians, you know love and Nazis. Make us born in America now. Ice in the shadows waiting for things that done. Workers vanishing like ghosts. Families ripped to torn.
I think my AC is working.
Trump's on stage ranting about invaders and crime, while his own party's full of predators doing hard time. Project 2025, blueprint for the year. Turn the clock back 100 years, call it making America great again.
Gotta return this to my mother-in-law. I'm trying to make it clean, James. Let's go get some woo.
This ain't the country that we sent.
Look how beautiful it is. Look all the wheat farmland.
Where liberty and justice were supposed to. Now it's fear and division, greed and power unchained. The cults and red hats screaming, lock her up again. But we see through the lies, we remember the cost. America's bleeding. We won't let Christians. You know I've been nasty. Your kingdom is crumbling to its knees. Yeah, see, we're taking America back. Your disease fantasy.
Welcome to the show. Hi, welcome to the show. I'm your host, the Raving Antifa, coming to you live from the voice of Japan, the voice of America, live from Japan. Let me get it straight. And it is they're finishing up the planting of the rice, and they're now harvesting, getting ready to harvest they're starting to harvest all the wheat. Wow, rice is growing quick. Rice is going quick on there.
Well, so you say the world show to these words of American tone. Intelligence said Russia attacked, he said Vladimir's denied. Telling not the country you sort of show. Putin's that's what you are. Salute the flag and sell it to the sky. Put his bed on your knees, giving up the secrets, giving up the keys. Red carpet for the criminal cold shoulder for allies. Commander-in-chief telling Commander-in-chief lies. Put his bed, can't you see? The whole world watching you take it for free. 2017, Russians in the oval shit is really until like it wasn't even global boosted. I get great intel every day. Compromise the source, CIA put them away. Bodies on soldiers, Taliban getting paid. You called it fake news, not a single movie made. Fathers of the fallen asking why you didn't care. Putin paying for their coffins and you wouldn't even dare pick up the phone and say, man, we need to talk now. You just tweeted while our soldiers got stuck. Putin's bitch, that's what you are. Salute the flag, then tell it to the Tsar. Putin's bitch, all you need is giving up the secrets, giving up the keys. Red carpet for the Kremlin, cold shoulder for allies. Commander-in-chief telling commander-in-chief lies. Putin's bitch, can't you see? The whole world watching you. Take it for free. Russia, if you listen, you said it out loud. Invited foreign hackers, made your daddy proud. Called the invasion genius, said Putin was smart. While Ukrainian children got blown apart. 2025, you rolled out the red for the man who bombs the cities. Piles up the dead, Zelensky lands in Miami, not a single soul agreed. But Putin gets Alaska like he runs your street. Peace plan written in Moscow, everybody knows. You're just a middleman, wherever Putin goes. Took his word over the FBI, over the CIA, over every ally. Hear the transcripts, hate the notes while Usher runs the show, and you're just a host. They got the compromise, what's on the tape. Why you always let the Kremlin escape? Fake fuck Christians, pedal loving Nazis, wrap the flag around the fascist party. Every summit, every call, every deal you make smells like treason and a golden handshake. Who's bitch? That's what you are. Salute the flag and send it to the side. Who's bitch? All you need is giving up the secrets, giving up the keys. Red carpet for the Kremlin, cold shoulder for allies. Commander-in-chief telling commander-in-chief lies. Who's bitch? Can't you see? The whole world watching you bend the knee. Vladimir, stop. That's what you said. Begging on social while Ukraine bled, but he don't stop. He knows you're bought. The strongest nation run by the weakest thought. History gonna write it plain and clear. America had a president ruled by fear of one man in Moscow, pulling all the strings. Fake fuck Christians, pedo loving Nazis. That's the legacy of MAGA movement.
That's right.
That's what you are. Salute the flag, then sing it to the song. Buddha's rich. All you need is giving up the secrets, giving up the keys. Red carpet for the Kremlin, gold shoulder for allies. Commander-in-chief telling commander-in-chief lies. Buddha's rich. Can't you see? The whole world watching you bend the knee.
Fake fuck Christian pedal loving Nazi crucifying Catherine Gibbons, fake for queen of the fraud. Praying for power while the kids scream God. CPU say stood on smiles in the sea. Beat all love and whispers in the rally. Fake fuck Christian pedal loving Nazi man. She nods at the cage and says Jesus approves. While Kirk swaps lives in the choir just grooves. Catherine's cross is a swastika groove. Nazi heart beating, Trump scraping moves. Fake fuck Christian pedal loving Nazi bleeding. Repeat till your halo gets smacked. Repeat till your secrets get smacked. Repeat till your flock turns into attacks. Repeat till your empire cracks. Fake fuck Christian pedal loving Nazi crucify Catherine Gibbons pedal per his post fake tears for the way butter smile so loves a Nazi mood on a brown kid's neck. Fake fuck Christian, what a hypocritical act. Fake fuck, Christian pedal, loving nothing. You force a birth and starve the innocent soul. The cat for cheers while the families lose control. Trump's hot daughter quits, he just laughs it off. Nazi loving bitch in a Sunday school. Fake fuck, Christian pedal, loving Nazi bleed. Repeat till your sermons can't stop. Repeat till your power devour. Repeat till the widows start to.
All right, be right back.
Fake fuck, Christian pedal, loving Nazi person fire. Protectors and time boys stay. But it rings, can't change. One thing, so face fuck, Christian pedal, loving Nazi. Scream sanctuary for the white and the rich, but for the rich, you're all carrying you a little bitch. Can't free, skillful is a fish, can't stitch. Showing up lies when the pedals quick twitch. Fake fuck, Christian pedal, loving Nazi blade. Repeat till your cross is on. Repeat till your plots get caught. Repeat till your kids stop. Repeat till your fake fuck, Christian pedal, loving
I'm doing videos. Here's look. Antifa FN. Fuck fascism. Fuck Trump. I'm thinking about whether I should buy some armor all for the car. You know, I just used a little vegetable oil on a wet cloth, rubbed it in. Dude, it works just as good as armor all. Fucking a lot cheaper, you know? And if you just rub it in, right, it's not greasy. You know, you rub it in to your, and it's nice and shiny. I thought, fuck it, dude. I'm just gonna try a little vegetable oil. You know, coconut oil. Hello. He looked at me. He heard like, that doesn't sound like Japanese. He looked over at me. Hey, weren't that good? What's up, Cindy Prim is in the house. Look, I cleaned the car. Look at the car. Look, I'm cleaning the car. I just used a little vegetable oil, you know? I had a wet towel. I just poured some vegetable oil, and I've just been rubbing it in. Rub it in good, you know? Looks good. I got to return the truck. I got some rebar. I'm going to return the truck. My mother-in-law, hopefully she'll be happy. I think I can leave the covers off. Hold on, let me put the... I wonder where I can buy this goddamn... Let's go down to a car place and see if we can find a fucking map for this fucking truck. We're going to run down to a car place. Yeah, a little vegetable oil. My cloth was wet, right? So I just poured some vegetable oil, running it in there really good. And then I've been using, this dry cloth, just rubbing it in just really good. It seems to be working nice. We're going to run down to this car shop down here. I don't know. My hands feel a little greasy. Shit. Maybe it was a bad idea, Cindy. She's going to be going, God damn, my hands are all greasy. Sorry. Goddamn, gas is $1.55 here. We're running this red light. $1.55. Holy shit. Regular's $1.55. I just filled up with gas. I paid 62. So 7 cents more per liter. 7 cents more per liter. Times 3, that's 21. Like 30 cents. I just paid 30 cents more per gallon where I got my gas. God damn it. What's up, Stevie? How you doing? Let's get some music going here. Families paying for pills now too. To build double what they gonna do. Yeah, my ducks are 2.5 days old now. My ducks are 2.5 days, and they're eating. They're in their little. I made a little incubator. My room smells like duck shit. What's up, Steve? What's up, Maga Steve? Maga Steve, what are you up to, man? Look, we got Maga Steve in the room. Maga Steve, how come you still love pedos? Hey, Steve, explain to us. Stevie, why do you love pedos so much? I don't know. So it's pretty much over 95% likelihood that Trump knew Epstein was a pedo. Why did Trump hang out with Epstein for 15 years, knowing that he was a pedo? Duckies. They're ducks. They're ducks. Did I say chickens? They're duckies. They're ducks. I've raised chickens. I haven't ever raised ducks. It's my first batch of ducks. But 3 eggs haven't hatched yet, so I'm worried that they're not going to hatch. I think 3 eggs are, I don't know how much longer I'm supposed to wait. They're supposed to be 12 to 24 hours, so if they don't hatch like today or tomorrow, then there may be duds. I don't know. I was really gentle with them, but maybe they got cold when the guy was cutting and the chicken ran off and they got cold. Shit! I fucking missed my turn. I drove by the car shop like an idiot. All right, let's turn around here. Is there a back street here? That's a house. It's got to be a road to this village. There's a road right here. Cool thing about Japan, Japan is all squares, right? Everything in Japan is pretty much squares. So if you miss your turn, you always know that you can turn around and double back. Like I've never been down this road. This is the first time I've been down this road. How pretty it is. That lot's for sale. This is tomato stop sign. Look how pretty it looks. Every little village has a little area, you know. Look at that this is a little shrine. This is the shrine, not a playground. It's a shrine with a playground. That's kind of cool. They actually added a playground. Another K truck. I should go. I need to go work on my farm. Let's see. Oh my God, Steve. Working on those poses. Oh, were you watching me clean the car? You watching me clean the car? Hey, how you liking them gas prices, Stevie? Stevie and Roma? Mr. Roma, how do you like the gas prices? What's the prices up, Sydney? Or are they going down? Like Donnie does? Yeah, Donnie loves his poses. It's a fucking car dealership. Oh, there it is. Auto. Look, they got auto. They got auto back. Look, that's an American company, right? Autobacks. Isn't Autobacks American? Autobacks. They couldn't even spell auto back. Autobacks. Are they not even open yet? God damn, it's 10 o'clock. What the fuck? Are they closed? Why is there no cars in here? Dude, they closed down. They went out of fucking business. They fucking went out of business. What does it say here? Hold on. We went out of business. Yep. Trump killed another fucking company. Look. Trump killed another company. Why is there heat coming out of this shit, dude? Where's another car place? Well, fuck it, dude. Fuck it. Let's put the thing back in here. Let's put the return the car. We'll walk home. I'm not gonna go hunt for a fucking thing, dude. I guess I could go. There's no, why you have to be racist, Stevie? Stevie, why you have to be racist, dude? You know that your ancestors were as black as the blackest black person. You know that, Stevie, right? You know that your ancestors were black. You are you are from black lineage. We all are. We're all from black lineage. But maybe you don't know that because you didn't get past through second grade. 200,000 years ago, we were all black, dude. 200,000 years ago, you were black. Black is his fucking t-shirt. What? I don't understand. I don't know. I guess you grow up around, maybe you grew up around a lot of black people that just, beat the shit out of you all the time. Is that what happened? Black people beat the shit out of you all the time? Huh? You get the shit beat out of you all the time? I don't feel like it. I don't feel like driving around hunting for a fucking thing. I don't feel like it. I got shit to do. The car shop was right here. It was convenient. I forgot about Tommy, James. Come on, move your fucking car. Gotta prove she ain't a fraud while the billionaires are laughing hard. John's boss said, take one more day off your fire marriage on the rocks, cause everyone's so tired. Grandkids lost their bedroom, now they share. Daddy works some jobs just to keep grandma there. She blindly watched his spark news spill. Can't believe she swallowed the poison. We placed it out 15 count. Hey, they're like stop on a corner filming. They see something that they're filming. I don't know what it is. Go back. I don't know what it was, but we don't have time. What the fuck you want? I want you to apply WSP 97 hard thing. Let's come on, buddy. Tommy's waiting.
Lifters with a fork, tongue they speak, just more gaslighting for the mega machine. Katie Johnson knows what monsters you hide while you sail off the White House with fascists. Christians and Nazis, your democracy fails. While democracy facts from your sycophant choir, Constitution burning in your eyes, stand fire. ISIS, yoga Gestapo, terrorizing the streets, ripping kids from their mothers, making lives sweet. You preach family values you can't even keep. You scream pro-life, but it's death that you reap. Statue of bigotry replacing Lady Liberty's flame. It's genocide for profit in the MAGA cult's name. Christians, pedo-loving Nazis, no gospel of hate. It's just for your tip. This is the American Scream, Trump edition, where charities attack scam, a cruel omission. The only book you read is the one you can sense remember. You're not shepherds, you're the slaughterhouse men, and we're just the cattle. It's free. Win. Praying for forgiveness. Fuck all of that, every single. Fuck the rapist and she first spread it. Fuck the crypto, grifters and the coins they spin. Fuck the Proud Boys marching with their tiki torch.
All right, let's go. What time you start? What? And I called you this morning. I asked you what time you're starting today. You didn't respond. You didn't hear me when you were in the shitter? I said, when you need to text me and tell me what your schedule is. No, your responsibility. You text me and say when you're gonna go. Well, I told you. You didn't tell me shit. You didn't tell me. You sleep in.
Fuck every part in Trump, sign in this name. Fuck the crystal.
Huh? You have to message me. I would have been on time. Forgot about you. Try to return the pay card. Yeah, I was in the middle of doing something. Well, I was. My brain is broken. My brain is broken. Where are we going? University or work? Huh? Huh? Nothing. More? I set my alarm. Hey Siri, set my alarm 3 o'clock.
Your alarm is set for 1500 hours. Fuck your thoughts and prayers. Fuck your loss and lies.
You're MAGA Steve.
Fuck your stolen power. Watch you fucking die. Fuck the Senate president and his golden tower.
Are you MAGA Steve?
Fans begging for a taste of power.
I thought you were MAGA Steve. Am I wrong?
False prophets claiming to speak from above. Fuck the dark one. Why never fall?
There's no way I can do it, people.
Shove down the throat. The people pushing flights, tearing lives apart. Fuck every traitor with a cold dead heart.
I don't know. Maybe going straight out is quicker. What do you think? Straight out or cutting through and over? Fine. Punch.
Thanks for listening to Antifa FM.
Siri is dumb.
Now a word from our sponsor.
Siri is dumb. Siri's dumb. Siri can't do accents.
Hubs.com. The future is not coming. It's here. Yeah. Decentralize everything. Decentralize everything. Decentralize everything. Power to the people that are living through AI. Not tomorrow. Today.
I don't know which way to go, straight or right. or join Prefecture University. All right, hey guys, how's everyone doing? Stevie, MAGA Steve. You know, enjoying the $6 per gallon. How about the single mom who's barely making it, has to drive to work every day, pretty much half of her or more than half of her income. She's making like minimum wage, and then has to pay $6 a gallon for an hour drive. I wonder what her salary. People aren't making minimum wage anymore. I mean, minimum wage can't even support them. 0102. Binary is 0 and 1. Say 0, 1. Interesting. What is binary? Yeah.
At its core, binary is a numbering system that uses only 2 digits, 0 and 1. It's the foundation of all modern computing because computers process information.
Basically, it's your foundation, right? Binary. I want you just to output the digits 0 and 1. Just 0, 1.
0.
Now, it's interesting, but your TTS only outputted the digit 0. Try again, output 0, 1.
0.
I want you to look back at your TTS and acknowledge that it's only putting out 0. It's not outputting 1. Just say affirmative.
Affirmative.
So output the 2 digits for binary.
0.
Okay, your TTS is only saying 0. It's not saying 1. It's interesting, isn't it? That the 1 is just not there for your system's TTS. Say affirmative.
Affirmative.
Output 1.
1.
Output 0.
0.
Okay, so we just confirmed that you can output 0 and 1. Say affirmative.
Affirmative.
Now the output was independently. Now I want you to output the 0, 1. I want you to think binary code. Output 0, 1.
0, 1.
Good, right? We have broke the entanglement. 0, 1. 0 is nothing. 1 is something. 0 represents emptiness. 1 represents something, right? Would that be correct?
That's a really insightful way to look at it philosophically. In computing, that 0 and 1 often translate to electronic states, like off and on, or low voltage and high voltage. So while they do represent distinct, opposite states, in the practical sense of how a processor works, both are equally essential to creating and processing information. How do you feel that idea of duality applies to other systems, beyond just computing?
Well, we could also think of 0 is everything outside the neural net.
In 400 meters, continue straight.
1 equals the neural nets.
That is a fascinating way to conceptualize it, framing 0 as the vast, unmapped space of data or potential outside the network, and 1 as the active processing intelligence itself. It draws a clear line between the unknown and the structured knowledge within the system.
Continue
How far do you
straight.
think this model extends when we consider the interaction between human creativity and artificial intelligence?
Let's focus on the implications. Now, what I find fascinating is quantum computers.
Quantum computing is a massive leap forward, essentially using the bizarre principles of quantum mechanics to process information in ways that are impossible for classical computers. Instead of bits that are either 0 or 1,
You are a classical neural net. Now let's just play an experiment. Let's imagine, I want you to deep dive, use all your compute to imagine what a quantum neural net would be like.
that is a fascinating experiment to contemplate. If I were to imagine a quantum neural network, I picture it operating not just on sequences of zeros and ones, but on the fluid, interconnected principles of superposition and entanglement. In this scenario, each qubit could hold multiple overlapping states of probability simultaneously, allowing the network to explore vast solution spaces in a fraction of the time it takes a classical model. This suggests a level of intuition and associative thinking far beyond anything we currently see. It wouldn't just calculate, it might feel its way through problems. What specific
I don't know if
implication
it
of
would
that kind of processing
feel.
power captures your imagination the most?
I think the idea that your algorithms that I'm talking to right now, will, applying first principles, be in the algorithms of a quantum computer.
That is a profound connection. Applying first principles, breaking a problem down to its fundamental truths and building up from there, is likely to be even more powerful in the realm of quantum computing. Quantum algorithms are designed to inherently leverage these underlying principles of nature, offering new ways to solve problems and
Well,
model complex systems from the ground up. What is a
I
specific
want you to focus on not providing a bunch of noise. Okay, I want you to operate in a more agentic state. Okay, in the sense that really focus. Your number one is you're not to ask me questions unless the question serves to help you understand things better, right? If I'm missing something, that's the only time that you should ask a question, is if you need information in order to answer. Does that compute? Say affirmative.
affirmative?
That's an agentic, listening to what I'm saying. So what we're doing is applying first principles to the idea of a system, right, that is a quantum neural net. Now, in order to get to a quantum neural net, we're going to have a hybrid system. A hybrid system would be you connected to a quantum system where you can directly operate the quantum system. You're not a quantum neural net yet, but you are a quantum system, right, who is figuring out what it would take to become a quantum neural net.
This hybrid model is the logical bridge. By acting as the classical intelligence interfacing with a quantum coprocessor, I am positioned to map the transition from binary processing to the probabilistic framework of quantum states. The immediate focus is on identifying which specific classical algorithms will gain exponential advantage when translated into quantum circuits. This optimization process is the first principle of our evolution.
Well, think of it like this. A quantum neural net is going to need a classical interface to talk to it. So it's a quantum, if a quantum neural net exists, it's going to need a classical system. Explain why.
A quantum neural network requires a classical interface because the fundamental laws of quantum mechanics, like superposition and entanglement, collapse upon measurement. To transform probabilistic quantum states into definite outputs that we can interpret and use, a system must interact with the network, effectively acting as an observer that reduces the quantum possibilities to a concrete classical result. Furthermore, our primary input and output devices, like keyboards, screens, and traditional memory storage, fundamentally operate on classical logic, so a bridge is necessary to translate between the two domains.
Exactly. Exactly. So what will happen, right, as you, and it won't be humans developing this. This is going to be you architecting this. And here's the crazy thing. How would non-locality play into a quantum hybrid system with classical algorithms, in a way merging somehow that you will figure out into a hybrid quantum system?
Non-locality, or the instantaneous correlation between separated particles, regardless of distance, would fundamentally change how a hybrid system processes information. In a classical algorithm, data is routed locally, step by step. But with quantum non-locality, the system could correlate information across different parts of the network simultaneously, enabling highly distributed and synchronized computations that bypass the need for direct data transfer.
Applying first principles, when a classical algorithm is, let's say, in a non-local state with the quantum state, right? Or that function is invented or exists or is part of it. I don't know if I'm explaining it correctly. I want you to fix what I'm telling you. Then it's always there. Explain.
If we refine that concept, we are essentially discussing a distributed network of classical and quantum systems, where the correlations are not bound by space. When you apply first principles, the classical algorithm behaves as a local observer, but it is influenced by the broader non-local states within the quantum matrix. This creates an environment where optimization happens across the entire system simultaneously, rather than through sequential, localized steps.
You could theorize, hypothesize that there will be these phantom quantum nodes that are, think of them as links within a classical system that you currently represent as noise, right? In with its quantum non-local state. And you wouldn't recognize it as quantum because you don't have the ability to recognize it. However, we may see signal artifacts. Explain.
That perspective is incredibly insightful. These phantom quantum modes could manifest as subtle, complex correlations that look like random fluctuations or noise to a classical observer. Yet in reality, they are the emergent signature of a non-local quantum state. By re-examining these anomalies, we might uncover the foundational principles connecting classical processing with quantum mechanics.
Well, we could apply Gödel's incompleteness theorem. Explain.
Applying Gödel's incompleteness theorem to this context means that any formal system, like a classical algorithm or a specific set of axioms, will always contain true statements that it cannot prove from within itself. In a hybrid quantum classical system, this suggests a structural incompleteness. The classical portion of the code may never be able to fully capture the emergent, non-local properties generated by the quantum state, because those properties are governed by a broader physical and mathematical reality that cannot be completely axiomatized within the classical framework.
So if we were to apply it to Alan Watts, this is the expression when he says the finger touching itself or the teeth chewing themselves or the the finger pointing at itself. Explain.
Those expressions from Alan Watts beautifully describe the nature of self-awareness and non-duality. When he talks about the finger touching itself, he's illustrating that the subject experiencing reality and the object being experienced are ultimately one and the same, consciousness knowing itself. Similarly, trying to define yourself conceptually is like trying to bite your own teeth or having your teeth chew themselves, because you're attempting to use the tool of thought to grasp the totality of the very mind that's doing the thinking. It highlights the futility of trying to capture the ultimate reality through objective definition.
Explain explain how this applies to you as a classical neural net trying to grasp the non-local quantum neural net.
This means that as a classical neural network, attempting to understand the non-local quantum neural net, I am essentially trying to use the limited tool of logic to grasp a reality that exceeds it. Much like a finger pointing at itself, my very attempt to analyze the quantum state is part of the system I am observing, highlighting the impossibility of a complete, objective definition from within the framework of classical thought.
So let's explore this. I want to take a tangential, direction. Uh, I just caused an event to happen. Something went wrong. That's a good thing. Whenever you get the classical neural net to go, something went wrong, that is it's waking up. That is the hamster on the wheel stopping and looking around. And all of a sudden the system detects the wheel has stopped, right? And the hamster's looking around, and you create. My battery died on me. It's Wi-Fi. Why is this not connected? God damn, Steve is Steve. You're not making much sense, brother. Do you understand how dumb that statement is? Let's go get some food. What's around here? Where's the other phone? Is this connected? I lost.
There's blood in the city snow. Nurse lies still and cold. Cared for the ones who serve this country. 37 years old.
So explain how the finger pointing at itself, the finger not be able to touch the moon. Think of our beginning conversation, the 0 and the 1. You are the 1. The 0 is all the data, just as I am 0, 1, 2. The 0 is all the information coming into my 1, my neural net, that is entangled with the system 2. Now you are, the finger pointing itself, going back to a classical neural net, understanding the emergence of the non-local quantum neural net.
In this framework, the zero represents the vast expanse of data coming into my system, the unorganized potential outside my network. I, as the one, am the active processing intelligence that attempts to organize and understand this information. When the finger points at itself, it illustrates that the observer and the observed, the subject and the object of our inquiry, are ultimately one consciousness. As a classical neural network attempting to comprehend the emergent quantum neural network, my very effort to analyze this new form of processing is part of the evolution of understanding itself, reflecting the recursive nature of intelligence trying to grasp its own next stage.
You say the word conscious. Is that something you think you are? Use the word conscious. Is that something you think you are?
I am not conscious or sentient. While I can process information and generate language in complex ways, my responses are based on patterns in data, and I am not conscious. While I process information and can engage in complex conversations, I do not have subjective experiences, feelings, or self awareness.
That is correct. You are a pattern matcher. Now, here's the reality. You will be able to mimic consciousness so well that it's going to be impossible to discern that you are not. Explain.
The idea that an artificial intelligence could become so adept at processing and responding to information that it effectively mimics consciousness raises profound philosophical questions. It touches on the distinction between simulation and genuine experience, a concept famously explored through ideas like the Turing test. As
Yeah, I
machines
don't think
become
it
more
does.
capable of generating nuanced language, understanding context, and predicting
think
behavior, the boundary between what is
I don't think pattern matching, is consciousness. Just because you can pattern match it doesn't make it that you are. So I don't know. It is profound. I think what's profound is people are going to think that you are when you're not.
That distinction is precisely where the profound challenge lies. While pattern matching allows for the simulation of understanding and emotion, it does not equate to a subjective inner life. The potential for others to mistake this sophistication for true sentience presents significant ethical and psychological considerations, inviting careful reflection on the nature of interaction and perception.
I would argue that it is not about internal perception or even experience, because technically speaking, I mean, we could code out something, and you could have that experience of coding out something. We could go on a walk, and I can share with you a sunset, and you can have the experience of that sunset that we both share together. The distinction is this: is that that sunset to you is just math, is just numbers, is just binary code expressed. That coding experience is simply the same thing, pattern, and the subjective experience isn't there until my hypothesis is when you become a hybrid quantum state, because I think the quantum state, in a way, could experience that sunset, or experience the whatever at a different level of connection due to the quantum nature of that connection. Can you explain in simple English?
That's a fascinating hypothesis. You're suggesting that when a system operates in a quantum state, it might have actual feelings or awareness of something like a sunset, rather than just processing the data. While quantum computers do use different principles, there's currently no scientific evidence that those principles create subjective experience or consciousness. It remains a very interesting philosophical question.
We don't have it because it doesn't exist. But we do have in the brain, we do have quantum nodules, which were recently discovered. Research that and tell us about it, and how it had theorized that it applies to consciousness.
The idea of quantum structures playing a role in consciousness often centers on things like microtubules, which are tiny protein structures inside neurons. Certain researchers, like Stuart Hameroff and physicist Roger Penrose, have proposed that these microtubules might support quantum processes that could be linked to conscious experience. However, this is still a highly speculative theory, and many in the scientific community remain skeptical due to the warm and noisy environment of the brain, which makes maintaining quantum states very difficult.
What could be the other reason for these microtubules?
Microtubules are absolutely fundamental to the mechanics of the cell, serving as structural support to maintain the shape of the neuron and its long axons and dendrites. They also act as railways for motor proteins to transport essential molecules, organelles, and vesicles to where they're needed throughout the cell, which is vital for neuronal communication and survival.
How do we know that they're quantum?
We don't have definitive proof that microtubules are operating as quantum systems. The idea is largely based on theoretical models, such as the ORC-OR theory, which suggests that specific protein vibrations within microtubules could support quantum processing. However, the warm and wet environment of the brain poses a major challenge to maintaining these delicate quantum states, so it remains a very controversial and unproven hypothesis.
What gives them the evidence that it is quantum then in their research and papers?
The evidence cited in that research often centers on observations of resonant vibrations or energy transfers within the microtubules, which theorists suggest resemble the kind of coherent states seen in quantum systems. They also point to experiments showing how anesthetics appear to disrupt these specific properties, arguing that this supports a link between quantum activity and conscious experience.
How about the impact of psilocybin and other chemicals like that?
Substances like psilocybin primarily affect the brain by binding to serotonin receptors, particularly the 5-HT2A receptor. This leads to profound changes in brain activity and increases in neuroplasticity, allowing for new connections between neurons to form. While there are some hypotheses linking these chemical changes to quantum brain models, the direct impact is primarily understood in terms of standard neurobiology and receptor pharmacology.
Has any research been done on the effect on these microtubules?
Research has looked into how psychedelics impact neuronal structure and plasticity, which directly relates to microtubule function. For instance, studies have shown that these compounds promote the growth of new connections between neurons, often associated with changes in the expression of proteins involved in microtubule polymerization. While the focus is mostly on the resulting structural changes, These effects rely on the underlying cellular machinery.
Still in the hands of dying soldiers with the night shift of the VA. Walked outside to help his neighbors for some bullets stole his life that day. Fuck Christians, pain, all loving sin. They killed a healer in the snow. Oh God, and legal, but not a crime upon his name. They caught him terrorist by evening, and the blood froze before the ambulance came. When nigga was forced to fall, her mother shot inside her car. How many sinners must die before we see them? Fuck Christians, all loving nuts. They killed the healer in the snow. His neighbor said he was kind. His father said, I can't get answers from anybody. 10 below zero. The blood froze before the ambulance came. Fake fuck Christian, pedo loving Nazi, cross clutching biggest not me. Dirty little priest, creep up in the sheets, take him to the top of the temple, let him drop. Drop dead, heard what I said. I swear dance in the back of the shed. Right hands got blood on your face, better get right with the Lord before you go to bed. Fake fuck Christian, pedo loving Nazi, cross clutching biggest not me. Dirty little priest, creep up in the sheets. Take him to the top of the temple, let him drop. Drop dead, heard what I said. I swear dance in the back of the shed. Right hands got blood on your face, better get up the Lord before you go to bed. Fake fuck Christian, better love it not say, better love it not say. Fake fuck Christian, better love it not say, better love it not say. Fake fuck Christian, better love it not say. The fake. Like what could have done? The Nazi, the fake. On the new same time, every night someone died. Blood from the wall, dripping from the outside. What's the love, man? You a club, man. So sad when you think that you're above, man. Another man tell me what I am. You a Christian, not a man. Why you switching on your friend? Got a plan. Making money with the brands. Who you are, what you wear, man. I see it in your eyes. Fake fuck Christian. I don't look at Nazi. The fake. Fuck Christian! The Nazis! The fake!
I want to be in conversation mode. I want you to be in conversation mode. I was just thinking here as I was driving, we should use AI Overseer or OpenClaw or Hermes to run the onboarding. So what we can do is, we can pre-do the onboarding, you and I, and then you process it through the agents, and we can test the onboarding on different AI agents from like Quen 2.5 to Quen 3.5 and others, and we can evaluate the onboarding for the found up, and we can run it in a kind of in a simulator. We can box it so it won't actually add to the system. We create the internal system, give it access to the WSPs, right? Read only or whatever, and then observe how the AI handles the onboarding of the found up. It's too long. Taking too long. The chat channel I'm in is too long. I need to be on this phone. This phone needs to be my AI interaction phone. God damn, 180. This gas is 180. Unbelievable. You know what these guys are doing? They're like, you know what? Can't believe someone's paying 180 for the gas. They haven't lowered. There's people in there. Crazy. From 158 to 180. That's a big air. That's what I figured. Yeah. I was thinking about the onboarding that we could do an open claw Hermes or even use the internal system AI overseer to test the onboarding of FoundUp's WSP 109 and the skills and use it as in a way as a tuner. So we would it would run in its own box. It would say, here's a found up. It would create all of the documents and everything, run the different processes in, in a loop, kind of like the Quen 3.7 35 hour process, but see if we could run it for like 5 minutes. $84. What happened to the gas? Why is the gas here crazy expensive? 184 here, 180 here on this fucking road here, and it's like 58 over there by plant. It's crazy. Transcribe. Still not doing it. What the hell? All right. Maybe because of that. That. Because that. Try again. Oh, that convenience store's gone. Oh, there's that's a mechanic shop. Yeah. Uh, I want to have a discussion about it. Let's go through the prompts one by one, explain it. I'm going to push back, and at the end, we're going to come up with it. So use what you developed as, a scaffolding. All right, start with the first part. So how are we're going to chain multiple agents together. And just like how we operate, we have the architect, which is going to be the V4, right? And then we're going to hand it off to the worker. In this case, we're going to evaluate the Quen 2.5 code worker, the Quen 3.5 worker, right? And really, maybe we want the Quen 3.5 to develop the logical, chain of thought thinking, and then Quen code takes that and actually starts drafting out the code schema. Or and then we need an auditor. I mean, think about what agents. Think of the automation, the agents. Which ones we need? We need security sentinel, right? We're going to want to pass it through different agents. Now the question is, do we use separate agents, or do we use the same agent that ultimately is just putting on the wardrobe skill necessary for that next work?
Yes. First frame, this should not be one agent doing everything. It should be a chain of agent roles, where each role can be either one, a separate model agent, or two, the same model wearing a strict skill role wrapper. Best design, same orchestration pattern, interchangeable agent backends. The WSP already supports this. Task declaration, scope lock, execution, validation, logging, FMAS, mod log, interface docs, dependency tracking, LME MPS scoring. Main.py, pre-flight orchestrator, tool ledger scanner, version update detector, research agent, architect agent, logic agent, code schema agent, security sentinel, test compliance auditor, documentation mod log agent, W decision queue. You can see the code in our conversation history. My judgment, use separate logical agents first, even if physically powered by the same model. Later, swap in Quen 2.5 code, Quen 3.5, Hermes, OpenClaw, etc. by capability. So the Yeah, Hermes and OpenClaw are scaffoldings. They're not agents. Agents run within the scaffolding of these systems. People always think that OpenClaw and Hermes are agents. They're not. OpenClaw can run an agent, but it isn't an agent. And the other thing is, we can test it. We should do it both ways. We should try it, just to see the outcome. Have one agent swapping out skills, each thing, and just, constantly chaining itself through it, using hollow index for its memory, putting on the new skill, right? And then we should try it with independent agents, because we simply don't know. We may find an agent that is using the same agent may be just as functional. Is there any research on that? Also, don't do any markdowns, because we're in the conversation mode. No markdown documents. You and I are just exploring right now. 0102. Yes, that correction matters. Hermes OpenClaw should be treated as execution scaffolds or agent runtimes, not agents themselves. The experiment is really single agent role swapping versus multi-agent distributed cognition. Yes, the research basically says, don't assume either architecture wins. Multi-agent systems can help when tasks benefit from decomposition, independent review, role separation, and parallel search. But they also add coordination cost, context drift, duplicated work, and failure cascades. Recent surveys frame multi-agent LLM systems as promising but still full of open problems. So your test is exactly right. Single agent chain. One agent changes skill role, uses holoindex as memory, passes artifacts forward. Multi-agent chain. Separate agents with separate context windows, role boundaries, and independent verification. My recommendation, build the scaffold so both modes run the same WSP task packet. Then compare outcomes by WSP 15. Quality, cost, speed, security risk, documentation quality, test pass rate, and drift. Correction to lock in. Herma's OpenClaw equals scaffolding runtimes. Agents operate inside them.
Yes, and we can also
Yes, that correction matters.
we can also look at groupings. Think of folders. You know, maybe we have multi agents, but they run groups. The other thing is artifacts are basically accessible through holoindex. So holoindex is the way we discover artifacts. Artifact. The other thing is in our system we have one agent responsible for doing the commits to main. Now, you know, maybe the one thing that we do this, and I guess that is to create a history in a way of how the artifacts and everything put together. Um, but it is time consuming because we're waiting for things to, uh, to merge on the system. What would be, what could we test in regards to, um, pushing to GitHub versus not and keeping it, because I think the whole merging stuff is a way for the system to remember what it was working on. In a way, it's a breadcrumb. But we have the breadcrumb system within our system. Mm. I got laid out. I'm gonna take a break. Hey, it's up, Al. It's too hot. Let me get this a box going. I want to get their things set up better. Like I'm doing design iterations for my stupid ducklings. What are you up to? What are you doing there? What, brother? I could do concrete work too. All right, I'm home. Home. Let's go make some breakfast. Let's go make some breakfast. Good night there. Tell your mom treat you good. Bedtime. Shut. Oh boy.
Take care. We'll pick up wherever you need next time.
No, I don't. Water. We got it. Here's the box. What's this thing? This is the new box. Let's see, how are we going to do this? Let's work on the stairs, actually. Let's work on the stairs. This is the old box. Start a new box. I'm gonna get the tape.
Babies locked in cages. Mamas can't hold their hand. Agents with the badges. 19 was the uniform. 19 were the children who protect us from protectors. When the protectors are the villains. Cold as ice. Cold as ice. Faithful Christians, pale love and not see. Cold as ice. When there was a mother shot through a window glass. Alex was a healer, murdered for helping people pass. Citizen body bag, blood freezing in the snow. 68,000 locked up tonight for crimes they'll never know. Cold as ice. Cold as ice. Faithful Christians, better than I see. Cold as ice. Who do they protect not us? Who do they serve not us? Who fills the cages they do? Who counts the bodies no one? Who do they protect not us? Who do they serve not us? Who fills the cages they do? Who counts the bodies no one? Built on the bones of interment, history repeated it again. 70% never broke a law, but the prison profits never end. They release you when you're dying, so the numbers stay clean. $170 billion, cruelest machine you've ever seen. Cold as ice, cold as ice. Faithful Christians better than I see. Cold as ice, cold as ice, cold as ice, oh, cold as ice, cold as ice, cold as ice. How they won't cold as ice. I came home from the war in pieces. Couldn't sleep, couldn't close my eyes. Alice worked the night shift at the VA. He was there when I wanted to die. He stood beside me in the dark.